During the meeting, please make sure that you announce yourself by name and title every time you speak so the public observing knows who is speaking. When speaking, be sure to speak directly into the microphone so that all comments are heard and the record of the meeting is accurate. This is critical given the number of remote participants and is the current guidelines from the Kansas Attorney General. Excuse me. The public may submit comments by email prior to noon on the day of the meeting, and those comments will be included into the record of the meeting. The public will have an opportunity to provide brief comments in person or virtually from the fifth floor conference room of the municipal office building during the meeting. When speaking, please state your name and city of residence for the record. Comments should be limited to the topic of that item. Disruptive comments and behavior are not permitted and may result in removal from the meeting. I will now call the meeting of the Public Works and Safety Standing Committee for Monday, May 18th, 2026 to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Roll call. Bradley Lopez.
Present.
Hill.
Here.
Ramirez.
Here.
Burns.
Here.
Lopez.
Here.
Kump.
Here. Thank you, clerk. Do we have any revisions to the agenda this evening?
Yes, Commissioner, we do. There was an agenda update issue that added new item 4.3 and additional documents to item 4.4.
Thank you. Our first order of business is the approval of minutes from our meeting of April 2nd and April 13th, 2026. Is there a motion for approval?
Move for approval.
Second.
Clerk, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Bradley Lopez.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Kump.
Aye.
Vote is 6-0. The motion carries.
Thank you. The minutes are approved. We have several items on the agenda this evening. We'll start with item 4.1. The first item on our agenda is a resolution adopting a regional fare policy that establishes a unified, equitable, and transparent fare structure across all Ride KC transit providers, improving consistency in the overall rider experience throughout the region. I will now recognize Desiree Bush, Director of Public Transportation, for presentation and remarks.
Yes, good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Desiree Bush, Unified Government Transportation Department. Today we have a resolution proposing our regional fare policy. This policy is applicable to Kansas City, Missouri, Wyandotte County, and Johnson County. This policy is intended to simplify the customer experience by standardizing our fares, our rider categories, and payment systems while expanding access through modern technologies such as our mobile ticketing, contactless payments, and fare capping. The purpose of this policy is to provide reduced fare programs for our seniors, individuals with disabilities, Medicare card holders, and low-income riders. Overall, this policy strengthens our regional transit collaboration, improve operational efficiency, and support the broader regional goals of expanding regional connectivity and increasing our ridership. Today with me, I have to the left, Mr. AJ Ferris. He is the Director of Planning and Scheduling with KCATA, so take it easy on him. He will present our presentation today, and he'll go over our Ride KC fare policy with the commission body.
Thank you very much, Commissioners. Again, my name is AJ Ferris, the Director of Planning and Scheduling with the KCATA, here to present to you about the regional fare policy. This is a similar presentation in the same fare policy that has been adopted by the KCATA board as well as the Johnson County Commissioner body as well. So we'll move on to the next slide. So the Ride KC fare policy is really just the guiding principles, goals, and structure of the fare system. This encompasses, as Desiree said, the KCATA, Johnson County Transit, Unified Government Transit, and the Kansas City Streetcar, though at this moment, the KC Streetcar will plan to remain free. I always like to lead off that this is not a document that is telling any one body what to do. We don't have the power to do that. You all get to choose and make decisions for yourself. But this is really a policy that allows for coordination with all of the regional providers to ensure a seamless public transportation system for our residents. So we start off with the principles of this. If you're familiar with the 2014 update to the fare policy we did back in 2014, these are very similar. Really just focusing on improving ridership, improving the experience, making sure that the system is equitable, that we maintain or increase fare revenue, that we improve the financial management and data collection with these new data collection tools that we will have, And now that we truly have a regional service, we want to promote that regional access. The transit service types are really important to be broken down just so we have the ability in the future to charge different fares for different types of services. So you will see the service types on the bottom of local, max, express, on-demand or flexible, streetcar, and ADA complementary transit. Essentially, this just means that, in the future, with a potential brand new beautiful stadium being built in the Legends, and if you do a BRT high amenity type of service, you all could make the decision to charge a premium fare for that service if you decide to. The rider categories and level are a federally required thing to basically allow us to have different fare levels for different categories of riders. So you'll see our 3 fare levels are full fare, reduced fare, and free fare. The rider categories below are the adult, youth, children, senior, disabled, Medicare cardholder, and low income. More details can be provided if you want to know more about those different categories and how people can become eligible for those categories. Our fare products, as Desiree said, you can pay essentially in 3 different ways. You can pay with a contactless credit or debit card, a tap to pay similar to what you might be used to at a grocery store. You can do that with your physical card or a card stored on your mobile wallet through a smartphone or a smartwatch. You will be able to use the mobile app, which is Ride KC Go. That app is live on the Google and Apple Play Store or Apple stores right now, and you can set up your accounts for it. And then finally, we will have physical media for those that are unbanked or don't have access to a smartphone. And all of those will be the 3 primary ways that people can pay in this first phase of launching fares. What you'll see on the right is fare capping. We could spend a long time talking about fare capping, but really it's the way that we make sure that a person that can't afford the upfront cost of a pass, we'll take the monthly pass for example. If a person doesn't have $62.50 on hand, they will have to pay for single rides. We want to make sure that they would never end up paying more than what that cost would be for someone who can't afford the upfront cost. So essentially, once they have purchased enough for a daily pass, a weekly pass, or monthly pass, they're not going to be charged anymore because they have essentially purchased the value of the pass through single rides. So our fare programming overview, we are introducing fare programs similar to what we had in pre-2020. You might remember programs like the Employer Pass, the University Pass, Veterans Passes, Opportunities Passes, and the reduced fare programs. Those are all things that we are trying to bring back. In this phase 1, we do plan to have many of these set up regarding Opportunity Pass and reduced fare programs. As we continue along into phase 2, that's where we will start really working with the universities and employers and private agencies to develop those cooperative partnerships if they so choose and if they're interested in providing a subsidized fare for their clients. This goes into just a little bit more details about what those things were. The Employee Pass program is essentially for private or public employers that wish to subsidize part or the full ride of their employees. All of these different people will have access to a back-end portal where they will get to manage their own clientele. And so what it would look like is essentially having cooperative agreements or memorandums of understanding saying that they are going to purchase X amount of passes for their qualified individuals. And this really kind of takes off the work off of me and off of Desiree and puts it onto the agencies for them to manage their own clientele. The reduced fare program, starting on May 26th, we will have eligibility verification open at several different locations in the region, as well as an online verification process through the United Way, who's been great to partner with and is helping us manage kind of the functionally free fare part of our fare system. So a person would, if they wish to do it in person, would come to Transit Center, the East Village Transit Center, or the KCATA Breen Lobby. If UG wishes to set up a location, I'm sure Desiree and I could absolutely work together to set that up. But a person can come in person, verify their eligibility, create an account, and have that reduced fare eligibility attributed to their account. The other thing I wanted to make sure is ADA incentive. Anybody that currently is qualified for complimentary ADA paratransit will ride for free on our buses. This is mainly to lower the cost of paratransit because we are trying to funnel people into the fixed route system where the cost per trip is much more affordable than a paratransit trip. We've already covered fare technology and media, but really our focus is making it an easy to use and safe to use system. A reminder that cash will not be accepted on board the KCATA buses, but there will be locations for people to digitize cash or use cash to purchase fares, though just those will not be occurring on the buses. Our fare adjustment procedures outlined in this policy allows for us to make sure that we're coordinating as part of our regional transit coordinating team. We'll be coming together at least every 3 years to take a look at the policy as a whole and identify changes that we need to make. There's also a provision in there for yearly meetings to just talk about how we're doing, and upon request, more frequent meetings. The proposed fare adjustments will follow all Title VI, state, and federal guidelines. This is the proposed fare levels. Back before COVID, we were charging $1.50 for a base fare. That has been increased to $2. This was done through a lot of elasticity modeling and studies that we performed to understand how this would impact both people that are using the buses as well as the agencies themselves. And then you can see the cost for the daily pass, weekly pass, and monthly pass, as well as the reduced fare amounts, which are 50% of the full fare. So implementation status, a lot has been done. I do want to credit the Unified Government team and Desiree and her team. They have been incredible to work with. This was a very fast, stressful, hard thing, and Desiree and her team have done an amazing job. We've essentially fit what normally is about a 24-month project into 9 months. And so a lot of credit should go to Desiree and her team, as well as the other regional providers that really have made this a priority. All of the equipment is being installed, it's being tested. There's actually a team right now at Unified Government, the Wyandotte County Parks and Rec location, installing equipment on the buses and testing them. They will also be here live to make sure that any of the bumps that we know are going to come up, they're there to fix them as quickly as possible. Finally, we have completed our regional Title VI equity analysis as well, which is a federally required component to this kind of project. All right. Yeah, the one thing that wasn't mentioned in there is that I mentioned that there people will have the ability to digitize cash or buy passes using cash. Unified Government does have an identified location for this point of sale system. So people in this county will be able to access that as well without having to go across state lines or across municipal lines. I believe that's at the Wyandotte County Parks and Rec facility.
Desiree Bush, Unified Government Transportation, that is correct. It's located at the Fleet campus. So we have a point of sale system where folks can come to our Fleet campus Monday through Friday between 8 and 4 p.m. to purchase their Fair Pass. Any questions?
Thank you. I wanted to clarify, I have a few questions and I'll open it up to the other committee members as well. So May 26 opens up the reduced fare eligibility enrollment period. You mentioned, does the UG not have a location for that currently?
Desiree Bush, Unified Government Transportation. We do not.
Okay, I personally, I'd really like to see the Unified Government also have a location to assist those folks who may be eligible for that fare reduction. So that's just my personal opinion, and I imagine many of the committee members share that. What is the rollout schedule? I saw you mentioned phase 1 and phase 2. What's kind of the time frame and the rollout schedule for these phases?
Thank you. AJ Ferris. So phase 1 starts in June 1st of this year. That's the 3 main ways of paying that we talked about. October is the identified date for phase 2, which is everything in phase 1, except we will have a full retail network that is rolled out, which gives people more of an opportunity to digitize their cash. at locations like Walgreens, CVS's, Targets, Walmart's, things like that. And then a reloadable smart card for people that don't have access to a smartphone or are unbanked. They will be able to have a reloadable smart card as well. That's a lot more robust than, the kind of temporary passes that we're using in this first phase.
Awesome, thank you. I have no further questions. Who is? Commissioner Lopez.
Lopez District 6. Oh, that's sensitive. Um, will this be set up like a K tag? Like I have a Pike Pass at Oklahoma, but Texas and Kansas recognizes, so when you run the tolls. So it's an account that you just add money on there when you need it. You get online, just put however much money you want on there. Would that be set up kind of like the same way?
AJ Ferris, similar. Instead of loading like dollars onto your account, you can load dollars onto a virtual wallet and then use that wallet to buy a associated pass. So it's not, if you're using the mobile app, you'll be using the mobile app to purchase a daily, weekly, or monthly pass. In phase 2, once we have the reloadable smart cards, that is where it would work a lot like you're talking about, where you can load value onto it and use it kind of like a tap to pay debit card.
Right, as it goes. And then what about like a little kiosk on the bus itself where somebody could just load up and pay for the week or the day or the month right there?
Yeah, so that is not part of this rollout. I don't know of any public transit system on the bus where you're able to do that. There are ticket vending machines that can be placed in strategic locations in this area of the region. With our hot days and cold days, they can be hard to maintain. So we are hoping that the retail network is going to be, and the point of sale systems are going to be sufficient enough to kind of meet that equity goal that we have. But it's absolutely something that's on our radar, that if we need to pivot and make those choices, then we do have the ability to go back to our technology provider and say we are interested in those ticket vending machines.
So folks can just get online and buy their tickets right there and.
Yep, they could they would be able to create an account and load value or purchase passes online through a regular desktop or through a mobile app as well.
And would they be assigned like a QR code, so to speak, I guess, on their app, on their phone?
So when you purchase a pass and you activate that pass, you start by purchasing the pass. It shows up in your inventory, if you will. You then click activate on the pass and it'll prompt you, are you sure you want to activate it? If you're sure, you'll click that, and then it will have that QR code barcode that you will scan on the validators that are on the bus.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ramirez.
Thank you, Chair. It's hard being loud today. I think it's a good idea. I've been to other cities where they have something like this. Chicago, of course, with their transit, very robust transit system. They have the same thing. You can buy a daily, a weekly passes to get on and off their bus and their train system. So you said that the JOCO Board of Commissioners approved this as correct. Is KC Mo going to do the same?
So the KCMO has been involved in as we've done this, but the KCATA operates all the public transportation services in KCMO.
Okay, all right. I was just curious about that. Those are my only couple questions I had. Thank you it is amazing turning a 24-month project into 9 months. That is absolutely insane. So I thank you for that hard work, Desiree, and for the KCATA for that work as well.
Commissioner Hill.
Thank you. Thank you for your hard work, Ms. Desiree, and getting this done. And thank you, Mr. Ferris, for your presentation and you all working together. I just have one quick question. Under the social service agencies, now when they purchase the transit fare passes, do they purchase them at the full price for their clients, or do they purchase them at a reduced level?
AJ Ferris, it depends on what the social service agency wants. For example, we are working with the United Way And the full agency list that is kind of represented by the United Way is going to be getting all these passes. United Way is paying the full price for those passes. Moving forward, if we go back and look at that, the ATA and unified government, it's our current policy that we will match up to 20% of the cost of it. Anything beyond that would need to be covered by the employer or the social service agency. But there's a lot more information that I'd be happy to give to you in a packet of, how we're planning on doing that without taking up too much time here.
Thank you.
Commissioner Burns.
Thank you. Did I hear you correctly that the only thing a senior citizen that has a Medicare card can just show them the bus driver and get on?
AJ Ferris, that is an option. So a person that is over 65 could let the bus operator know, I'm eligible for reduced fare, show the ID, and then the bus operator would key in, this is a reduced fare person, and go forward. What we are trying to do, though, is push as many people as we can to setting up a mobile application, or when the smart cards are available, setting that up, because then we don't have to slow down, we don't have to put the verification on the bus operator. We want the bus operator focused on safely driving, staying on time, staying reliable. And so what we would ask everybody is to go through the eligibility verification process with the mobile account. And when smart cards are available, that way there's no communication needed with the bus driver. But the quick answer to your question is yes.
Okay. I'll have to get one of those. I've had one for 11 years. Also, last year I got complaints, can't speak for anyone else, that some of our down and out homeless people would get on there in the winter and go all day and go all the way around all day long on it. And they rode for free then? Is that right?
AJ Ferris, yes, when we did not have a fare, anybody was able to get on the bus at any time during
Okay,
operation.
so regardless of the weather conditions, they will have to pay.
AJ Ferris, that will be a UG decision. I know what the KCATA does is that we do have warming buses during the very, very cold days and cooling buses during the very, very hot days. Those aren't running routes. They're essentially just out in the community for people to get out of the elements. But yes, even in inclement weather days, people will ask to pay a fare. Something that the UG could decide to do, something that has been done in our region before, is ozone days, to where on days where we are trying to get people to not use their car, to use public transit, we'll do reduced fares for that day, but that will still be at a cost.
Does Johnson County do that?
Johnson County has done that as well. But again, that is their choice if they want to do that or not.
And do you know what they're doing this year?
I'm pretty sure they're going to be doing the ozone days as well. That has not been specifically coordinated yet, but again, we're all trying to move along the same path and make it as easy as possible. And I can't speak for Desiree or UG or Johnson County, but from the conversations I've had, that seems to be the desire.
Okay, thank you.
Desiree Bush, Unified Government Transportation Department. Past history, we do not allow looping, and it would be the same applied to phase 1, phase 2. The public is required to pay the fare. We'll do our due diligence to inform them of all the information, encourage them to download the app, and we have the Fleet Campus where they can come purchase a reduced fare card if necessary.
Yeah. I think it's only fair for the others that pay, and that, the others should pay at a reduced fare. I get that, but they should have to pay.
BPU Board Member Bradley Lopez.
I thank you for the presentation. I do somewhat feel like it is bittersweet, simply because I'm one of those people that was spoiled and enjoyed the free rides and seen the impact that it had in our community. And so, it will be a change to see. And so the questions that I have is, when people, when is it going to stop that people can't pay with cash value anymore? Or they can always pay with cash value on the bus?
So there will be no cash accepted on the bus.
So no cash accepted on the bus, and if they wanted to pay with cash, they would have to digitize that. And then you stated that you already had locations for that, or?
That's correct. So the East Village Transit Center is a location, the KCATA lobby is a location, and the Wyandotte County Parks and Recreation is another location. Johnson County is working on setting up another additional location in their jurisdiction.
In Wyandotte County, what's the closest to the downtown or the lower numbers?
Yeah, so the closest to where we are right now would be East Village in the KCATA lobby.
That's Indian Springs?
No, that would be the KCATA headquarters at 12th, or excuse me, 18th and Troost, and then the East Village location at 12th and Charlotte.
Okay. Okay, so, okay. And then all this is supposed to happen, is this stuff supposed to happen, so June 1st, you can only pay in 3 ways, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and so if I have cash, I can't get on the bus. I gotta go all the way to 18th and Troost.
Good question. One of the things that I always want to take an opportunity to say is we are taking a customer first centered approach. We understand that this is going to be a tough change for people. So we understand that people might not, be ready at that start. We are starting to sell passes a week before we go live with the fair. So there will still be free fare for people that need to access those locations. And then our operators are ready to educate and involve the customers to just let them know, hey, fares are coming. If you rely on cash, you need to make sure that you're going to these locations to purchase those passes.
And so the unified government can choose to have locations to pay it throughout this area?
Absolutely. If Desiree or you all make the choice that you want to have more locations, the KCATA is absolutely able to help facilitate that.
Ms. Tubman and Desiree Bush, Unified Government Transportation Department, our first choice was the Fleet Campus, where we are located, where we have transit staff that's available. Initially, we thought of a location at City Hall. However, understanding the limited capacity and training of the department staff to how to utilize a point of sale system, we took a firsthand approach, knowing that our staff are fully trained and can help the public, and downloading the app, encouraging them to come to our location, and we will comp them a free pass, comp them since they are coming to our location to purchase the cash or the fair pass with cash. So it's somewhat an incentive if they were to come to the location. But again, that's only if you have cash and you're not able to download that Ride KC Go app.
And this is all supposed to happen before before FIFA and stuff happens?
Yep, that's correct. So we'll be live, making sure that any problems that jump out at us are ironed out before we expect to have the largest amount of people coming, which is, I believe, I want to say June 11th is the first, sometime around there. But yeah, our goal is basically to have that first week be where we have everything ironed out. Any of the bugs that show up have been solved before the World Cup activities begin.
Yeah. And then this, you guys already have like communication and messaging already ready for those that are coming?
Yeah, thanks for teeing it up. I'll just go ahead and say that there is a webinar tomorrow that people can join virtually. You can find it on the Ride KC website to sign up for that. And then next week, we will be having public engagement multiple different times that the entire region is invited to come to. And those will be talked about more at the webinar tomorrow, as well as sent out through social media posts and on the Ride KC website.
And just to ask, was there a lot of engagement that you had with a lot of social services group when it comes down to the unhoused community? Because those have been the highest communities that I've seen needing and using these buses, and we're taking that service away from them. And so I wonder what that process will be to still ensure that we serve them as well.
Another good question. That's the main reason that we were lucky to go ahead and partner with the United Way, who has boots on the ground and a lot of understanding of what these people need. These are also people that don't necessarily have a form of identification
Mhm.
as well. And without that form of identification, there's a lot of the processes that we have that they would not be able to go through. And so that's why we're making sure that we're working with social service providers coordinated through the United Way, so we can make sure that we're really capturing the people that, rely on public transit the most and are the most at-risk populations.
I appreciate you. Thank you for answering those. I just wanted to ask, those were, I mean, like I stated, my whole life riding the bus, those have been the communities that have mostly used it or needed them. And so it just feels like, we spoiled them and now we're taking something away from them and then having them assimilate or acculturate into a system that they haven't been used to. And so I appreciate you. Thank you.
Any further questions from the committee? Clerk, did we receive any comments from the public on this item?
No comments received.
Thank you, Clerk. Is there anyone online from the public who wishes to make a comment?
No hands are raised.
Is there anyone appearing in person who would like to address this item? If so, please approach the podium, state your name and city of residence for the record, and you'll be given 3 minutes. Let the record show nobody has approached the podium. I will now entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Bill second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Bradley Lopez,
Aye.
Hill,
Aye.
Ramirez,
Aye.
Burns, Lopez,
Aye.
Hump.
Aye.
The vote is 6-0. The motion carries.
Thank you. And thank you, staff, for working so hard on this item.
Thank you. And I'd like to formally thank AJ. He has been instrumental in leading our regional efforts. So thank you, AJ, and the KCATA team.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners.
Our next item is item 4.2, which is adoption of a resolution authorizing the unified government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, to approve a mutual aid agreement with the Kansas City, Missouri Board of Police Commissioners during the 2026 FIFA World Cup and associated events from June through July of 2026. I will recognize Deputy Chief Kent Anderson, Kansas City, Kansas Police Department, for presentation and remarks.
Sure. So before Deputy Chief talks, just to cover the legal part, this mutual aid agreement is between the police department and the Kansas City Board of Police Commissioners. If you read through it, you'll notice that while it's called a mutual aid agreement, it's basically solely related to the police department going over to KCMO. And this is also required prior to a subsequent agreement, which other law enforcement agencies will enter into to be eligible for reimbursement for law enforcement services that they provide related to World Cup.
Hello, I'm Deputy Chief Ken Anderson with the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department. So the mutual aid agreement basically covers right now what we're offering assistance to Kansas City, Missouri for our escorts. For Argentina is going to be our main escort during the tournament. We will help with VIP escorts and other team escorts when Argentina is not in the city area. We will also be lending them our SWAT team on match days at Arrowhead or Kansas City Complex, whatever they're calling it now during the World Cup. So if anything else were to happen in Kansas City, Missouri, if they were to have a large riot, something happens and they required immediate assistance, we would send officers immediately to Kansas City, Missouri to assist them with anything we could do at that time. I'll take any questions if you have any.
Thank you. Does any member of the committee have questions? Commissioner Lopez.
Just Lopez District 6. I thought we were already set up like that. When if KCMO needed help, like when chases happen across state line and whatnot.
We do. It's usually a chief-to-chief agreement that when immediate assistance is requested, but part of this is the federal grant money that we will be reimbursed for. So like our SWAT team, if they're overtime hours or just regular work hours, we get reimbursed for their services and their hourly wage or their overtime rate. Like if they were to go to Arrowhead on their off time. The same thing would go with the motorcycle unit being escorts, and that will all be reimbursable through KC 2026 and Mark and the federal grant.
Okay. And then I was also told that KHP was going to be their bird dogs.
They are requesting a lot of agencies. The reason we're not helping as much is because we have Sporting Park and Compass Mineral training facility to look for. But I mean, I think they've reached out as far as Milwaukee, Nashville to get assistance with the World War I Fan Fest and the match days at Arrowhead. Plus, they have all the hotels to secure, not to mention England's practicing at Swope Park. So Kansas City, Missouri is definitely going to be busy this next 45 days.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you.
Commissioner Burns.
Again, should they need our services, what does that do to our local patrolling, especially in District 1? And I don't want to speak for District 1, but in District 2 in particular?
What we're trying to do, like I'll tell you now, we're going to upstaff on the 6 match days at Arrowhead. So I'll give you an example. Our afternoon shift and our midnight shifts will be working mandatory 4 hours in early for the midnight shift and 4 over for the afternoon shift. And we're going to use that at 4th of July too, just because we don't know how many out-of-town people will be in our city and if any issues would arise. We are not going to send them every police officer from KCK over there if they were having an issue. We would leave a crew to still answer priority 1 calls. Now, if you had a priority 2 or a loud music complaint, it might be a little while before we get to those types of calls.
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Ramirez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kind of piggying back off what you just said, Deputy Chief, one of the things I am going to be reinforcing with my district, specifically Rosedale, because that's where a lot of our STRs are going to be. And a lot of the community is apprehensive of the policing, how it's going to be. And so one thing I'm going to reinforce with them is if there is a noise complaint, if there is one of the rentals is throwing a party, please report it, but be patient. It may not be taken care of that hour, not even that evening, possibly. But for them, I'm going to keep it reinforcing, watch it, make sure it doesn't get out of control, and then you can continue to make calls. But as I'm telling this is going to be a go with the flow, take it day by day kind of event. We have never experienced this. This is a new world for us. And so I'm doing my part to get my community and my district ready for the part of the policing part. And so if there's anything else you would like for me to share to my district, please let me know at any time, just so that I can help you spread that information out.
We would be glad to come. We do have a community policing unit or anybody in the command staff, if you'd like us to come speak at any meetings about what we are doing related to anything related to World Cup or how our staffing is, I would be glad to answer any of those questions.
Commissioner Lopez.
Yes, sir. District 6 here. Hey, I was just also, I knew it's going to be hectic, kind of, I know as far as the officers working a lot of overtime. But I was planning on, maybe getting some sandwiches together or something. And I know these guys are going to be busy and taking care of officers, just to make sure they have snacks and fed and watered and all that. So I don't know, is that something you guys were kind of putting together too as well, or just focus on more patrolling?
Well, right now we're working on getting the staffing numbers. I will just give you an example. We're going to run 24 security at Compass Mineral. We're going to start out with 4 officers and a sergeant. During the times that Argentina is not practicing at the facility. Once Argentina arrives at the facility, we will be upstaffed to 50 officers. And we will also have best security. We'll also be inside the complex, just to ensure we have no intrusions or anything like that. So hopefully we've been planning enough for this since last
Right.
July. Hopefully we're there.
Right. I mean, I've seen where everything's been put together, and it's like we're treating these boys like Greek gods. I mean, we don't even treat our NFL players this way. So I'm like, you know, this is what you're going to get. Take it or leave it or go somewhere else. But, all right. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Burns.
Some people have been asked, are the police officers going to be allowed to take vacation period during the time?
So
Week.
I'm sorry. I have restricted vacation to first choice vacations only, and no other time off other than your FMLAs, deaths in the family, and weddings we will approve days off for. But other than that, their second choice vacations or any other holidays or comp time will not be allowed until the end of the duration after July 16th.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ramirez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This question just came to me. I'm not going to name which country, but it's known for camping out and not buying rentals or hotel rooms and camping around the municipality that they operate in or not overtake, but stay in. What is our department going to do? What's going to be our response with that?
We're going to have our own teams, and we're going to have some of our Spanish-speaking officers out in the area and to try to inform and try to educate them on where we would have that be allowed and where it will not be allowed. And I will tell you this, at the Compass Mineral Training Facility, there is no real place to go. There's no place to watch them practice. So we will be pushing everybody out of the area on sporting Kansas City's property. So that's probably going to be our biggest challenge. I think we'll slowly get into it. Obviously, first practice June 1st. I think they're here till June 5th and then leave for 4 days, and then they will be back in market. And I think it won't be busy till we approach the first match, June 16th, with Argentina and Algeria playing at Arrowhead. And I'm going to be honest, looking at Argentina's next 2 games are in Dallas. Well, their fans all leave and go to Dallas and just stay in Dallas because they have 2 matches. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
No, if I could, just to add, it's just County Administrator Allen House. So there will not be any officially sanctioned or designated camping areas set up for the World Cup. So there's no change in policy for our parks or our other public spaces in terms of camping. There is information that was pulled together in terms of where people could go legally camp, whether those are state parks or private campground areas, and that information provided to PD and to sheriff so that they can disseminate that if they come across that kind of situation. So we want to, as Deputy Chief said, provide that information to people, but there is no change in where camping is and is not allowed in Wyandotte County in KCK.
Okay. I think that's good that we're going to educate as best as we can for that purpose because we recently passed and changed the camping ordinance for that. And so I want to make sure that we're going to follow that and also do our best first of education before enforcement. They're not going to know our laws as best as we do. And so thank you for all that you're doing. I'm sure it's a lot for you guys to get through and to tackle and get ready for, but thank you.
Commissioner Lopez.
Lopez District 6, I meant to ask too, I know Missouri, I believe they implemented their National Guard. Did Kansas do the same thing?
We did not.
We did not. If we need to, of course, that's the governor's call, isn't it? So, okay.
I think she has, I could be wrong on this, but I believe she's approved some minimal use of it. But I'm going to be honest, we're not having the matches. I know we have the practices and then we'll have the practices at Sporting Park for the teams visiting. I don't know that we'll have the crowds like Kansas City, Missouri will with, like Netherlands already pulling parade permits to do their parades on the streets. So I'm hoping.
Are we going to give parade permits? I mean, is
Far,
that,
far as I know, no one has requested a parade permit yet related to the World Cup in KCK.
I don't know if that'd be a good idea, but, so the governor has that button on standby then, huh?
I believe so.
Okay, good. All right.
Commissioner, Assistant Administrator House. So there was some back and forth between the governor and the legislature this past session around that usage. So, but on your agenda for Thursday, there is an item which is a preemptive emergency declaration, local emergency declaration that would allow for local call up for assistance if needed in the event of some sort of.
So PD could actually push that button?
I believe so, yes. Through emergency management, yes.
I want to push it. Okay.
Thank you. Are there any further questions from the committee? I'm seeing none. Clerk, did we receive any comments from the public on this item?
No comments received.
Thank you. Is there anyone online from the public who wishes to make a comment on this item?
We do have a hand raised, identified as EGM. You'll need to unmute. You'll have 3 minutes. Please state your name and residence.
Hi, this is. Hello?
Go ahead.
Hi, this is Eva Garcia Meza, Kansas City, Kansas. I just have a question. I know there's talk about reimbursement, but the actual agreement says compensation for the mutual aid assistance. It's not going to be charged. It says that there's without charge to the requesting agency being KCMO. So where does that reimbursement come from? And the second part I wanted to ask is, I absolutely think that there should be stewardship between cities, but not at the cost of potentially limiting the resources that are available to the community. So even if that is noise complaints, like there shouldn't be a delay in service to the residents that are paying for these services through their property taxes. So I think there should be a balance, obviously, because there is going to be flow from this event into Kansas City, Kansas. But like I said, I think there should be a focus on ensuring that whatever services are currently offered remain at the same level because people are paying for these services. So I just wanted to make that call out. Thank you.
Yes, this is Ken Anderson again. Yes, and what we were talking about, we're doing the escorts and then we have our SWAT team going over to Arrowhead. What I'm talking about is an emergency with life being in danger that we go to help Kansas City, Missouri. It's not, we're just going to go help them because they get behind on their calls for service. So I don't foresee this happening, but if something like that were to happen, we would be prepared to assist Kansas City, Missouri. As for the reimbursements, there is a federal grant that was set aside for all the World Cup home base venues and the cities that are hosting matches. And that's where the reimbursement is coming from, as well as I believe the state of Kansas gave KC 2026 $27.5 million, which 3.5 of that, I believe, was set aside for safety and security for all of the affected venues in the area.
Thank you. Is there anyone, are there any other hands up online? I'm sorry.
No other hands raised.
Thank you. Is there anyone appearing in person who would like to address this item? If so, please approach the podium, state your name and city of residence for the record, and you'll be given 3 minutes to make your comments. The record show that nobody has approached the podium. I will now entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adopt the resolution.
Second.
I'm sorry, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Bradley Lopez,
Aye.
Hill,
Aye.
Ramirez,
Aye.
Burns,
Aye.
Lopez,
Aye.
Kump.
Aye.
Vote is 6-0. The motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Chief. The next item we have on our agenda, item 4.3, is adoption of a resolution requesting approval for the Wyandotte County Juvenile Detention Center to apply for the Kansas Department of Corrections Behavioral Health Services Grant. There is a request to fast track this item to the May 21st Board of Commission meeting. I will recognize Casey Meyer, Senior Counsel, for presentation and remarks.
Good evening. This is a resolution requesting approval for the Wyandotte County Juvenile Detention Center to apply for the Kansas Department of Corrections Behavioral Health Services Grant for the funding period of July 1, 2026 through June 30th, 2027. And I have Lieutenant Lamb from the Sheriff's Office here to present and answer any questions that you might have for her.
Good evening, Lieutenant Elizabeth Lamb. I'm here to present this to you guys. The House Bill 2020 is requiring that juvenile justice data systems and reporting to all agencies can better fast track and outcomes and coordinate services. Earlier services that we could get with this grant will help expand treatment access, stronger coordination, and improve long-term tracking of youth outcomes. We're applying to have a physician on staff part-time, which will help with the kids and their behaviors. Instead of locking the kids down, we'll be able to talk them through it, figure out what's the problem is, get everything on track again. It will help with their healthcare, help getting the kids back home instead of in state's custody. All of the grant monies that we are applying for are coming from the KDOC if we are granted the money. You just said the grant is due on May 31st. Our number one goal, and I'm quoting from my administrator, Adrienne Gilchrist, which she's somewhere on the Zoom link, is to get this grant, hoping it will help our in-house therapy and group therapy and family engagement to get the kids back in their homes and hopefully slow down recidivism.
Thank you. Are there any questions from any members of the committee? I have a question. Does this grant require a local match?
No.
No? Okay, thank you. Any further questions? I'm seeing none. Clerk, are there any comments that we received from the public on this item?
No comments received.
Thank you. Is there anyone online from the public who wishes to make a comment?
No hands are raised.
Thank you. Is there anyone appearing in person who would like to address this item? If so, please approach the podium. I'm seeing no one approach the podium. I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve
Second?
Is that with the fast track or, I'm sorry.
with the fast track.
Yes.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Bradley Lopez,
Aye.
Hill,
Aye.
Ramirez,
Aye.
Burns,
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Kump.
Aye.
Vote is 6-0. Motion carries.
Thank you. Our final item today is item 4.4, presentation on the Elevating KCK River Bridge Crossing Study centered on gathering strong community input while evaluating multiple bridge options and presenting them to the public. I will recognize Troy Shaw, Director of Public Works, for presentation and remarks.
Thank you, Troy Shaw, Public Works Director. I'm here with the team that was selected to perform this work. Just for a little background. So this study was started a little over a year ago, and I believe at that time when we started this, we said we would be back to commission. The intent of this study when we started it was to get commission as much information as we could, essentially about the Kansas and Central Avenue bridges, so that you guys had all the information you needed to make decisions on the direction of those bridges going forward. Interesting thing, since we started this and we said we'd be back at the beginning of the year, delayed a little bit. because we got a lot of new commissioners, so we wanted to give a little time to get used to it. And also because, as you know, KDOT is now going to build us a Central Avenue Bridge. So that went back into a report, changed a few things. They tweaked some stuff. So little delay on that. Great news, but there's a delay because of that. Where we're at now is we're coming back to present the information to you. We kind of know mostly where we're at on Central Avenue at this point, but then talk a lot more about Kansas Avenue and get direction for how we want to finish the study, what direction the team should go with the remainder of the funds. And remember, those are ARPA funds, so they have to be spent by the end of this year. So we just need direction on which way they should go with it. So I'm going to turn it over to the team right now, and they'll introduce themselves and give you an update.
Thank you, Troy. Good evening, Commissioners, Board Member Lopez. My name is Christopher Harker. I am with Alfred Benish and Company. We are the prime consultant for the project we're going to discuss tonight, and then we have some other team members. So what you're seeing here on the slide is this is who's been working for the UG over the last 12 to 18 months on what we were calling the Elevate KC Reverse Bridge Study. Like I said, I work with Benish. Jared, who you will hear from, also works with Benish, and then we have John with HDR. As you can see, you're under those bullets, the primary focus of each of the team members. After I give just a brief highlight of the status, then the two gentlemen to my left here will give you an update first on Central and then on Kansas. So on this slide, what you're seeing here is obviously that both the structures have been closed for a number of years, but as Troy began to allude to, there's been a lot of progress made on Central Avenue here over the last 4 to 5 months. The big step was when KDOT came on board as far as partnering with the UG to replace the Central Avenue Bridge. Jared will get into the funding status here in a few minutes, but needless to say, they are contributing a large portion of that. That is what is going to fund not just the construction, but the design process. And that's what the UG was paying our design team with. As we go through the update here, it will get back to Troy, and what we will need to discuss is what you might want to do with the remaining budget that the UG had allocated to the project, because we don't need those funds anymore for Central Avenue. So we've got some ideas, but Troy will present that at the end. And then, of course, because we have this flexibility, we're going to get into what might be the next steps with Kansas Avenue and how we can accelerate that one a little bit, just like Central Avenue. Before we get into the actual updates for each of the bridge and project sites, I just wanted to bring to your attention some of the community engagement. I know it was a very important focus when we first got started on this. Several of you have asked questions on some of the other presentations. These statistics that you're seeing here is specific to what the UG funded out of their River Bridge study. So you saw there was 2 primary open houses, each with several dozen people, and then we had several hundred respondents through the project website and the portal. The other thing that you would want to see there on the KCDC, who we partnered with on behalf of UG, they had several different events throughout District 2 that was in addition to the open house events. And then also not even shown on the slide is there was a accompanying project before that KDOT was running, which our team was also leading. So there were 2 additional open houses with that. And then we just completed a open house last week for what is called the environmental assessment, which is part of the study. That was also funded by KDOT. So there's been almost a dozen different touch points over the last 12 to 18 months on this project. So lots of opportunities for people to participate and for us to hear what was needed on the projects. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jared, and he's going to begin to talk about Central Avenue and how we took that feedback and got to the preferred option that we're now advancing.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you for everyone having us here tonight. Happy to be here. My name is Jared Russell. I'm a project manager and the structures team lead for Benish. I'll be focusing here on Central Avenue for the next few slides. So as a reminder, the Central Avenue River Bridge is the double-decker steel bridge that crosses over the Kansas River, and it connects the Central Avenue Business District with the eastern industrial area near James Street, as well as the West Bottoms. This bridge has been closed since 2021 due to severe structural deterioration. A lot of this being driven by the fact that this bridge is well over 100 years old. As part of the Elevating KCK study, We did not entertain any repair options for this bridge, mainly due to the fact that it was so severely deteriorated. We did not believe it would be cost effective for that, for those alternatives to be investigated. However, we did fully flesh out replacement alternatives as well as removal options as part of the study. Not only did we look at those types of alternatives, we also considered different typical sections for specifically pedestrian structures, dedicated vehicular bridges, and multimodal, so the whole complete streets option. Now, both Central Avenue and Kansas Avenue River Bridges do share a border with another organization. At Central Avenue, that shared border is with KDOT. So there on the screen, you can see highlighted in yellow the areas of Central Avenue that are owned and maintained by the DOT. And then in blue are the areas that are owned and maintained by the unified government. Also included in the unified government's purview is the 3rd Street ramp, hiding there in the shadow of the 670 flyover. Now, KDOT had what they call a discovery phase project, which is a conceptual study very similar to elevating KCK. This KDOT project started back in 2023. Now, we looked at all sorts of different ways with KDOT to replace their yellow highlighted portion, but it did not consider the river bridge being opened. Through the Elevating KCK study, kudos to the UG Public Works team and UG leadership for coordinating with KDOT to develop what we considered a combined solution to yield a result on both sides of the line. So in discussions with KDOT, UG determined that there is a combined solution to where both parties can win, and that's what you're seeing here on the screen. This alternative is what is being moved forward through preliminary design and starting this summer. You can see here, this is a full replacement of the corridor within the existing footprint that you see today. There's going to be an improvement and modernization of the I-70 interchange. The I-670 flyover is going to be removed and realigned to a T intersection with Central Avenue. We'll be removing, replacing, and shifting over the 3rd Street ramp, and then, of course, replacing the river bridge itself. This is really a big benefit for KDOT, and what really drew them to this idea, and the fact that we can construct the river bridge first along with the 3rd Street ramp, and that allows a lot of those businesses in that lower 3rd Street industrial area to come up and head to the east during construction, and allows KDOT to do what they need to do, everything west of that new area. So KDOT will be managing the design and construction of what you see here on the screen, and preliminary design is going to start this June, so here in just about a month. Now, in order for UG to be able to prioritize various infrastructure elements that a DOT typically wouldn't prioritize in their type of bridge project, UG did submit on a build grant this past February. So that is a federal program that went in February. And out of the gate, I want to make it clear that if awarded, there is no local match required by the UG on this. That is because KDOT has already committed $135 million towards the project. So in the Fed's eyes, the local match has already been achieved and well beyond that. So if this $25 million is awarded in late June is when we should find out. We're going to prioritize things like a full multi-use path, full length along that corridor on the north side, lighting improvements, sidewalk improvements, as well as some other aesthetics and project pieces to really elevate this for the community. We did receive over 25 letters of support from the community, so a lot of backing behind this. Folks are really excited to see this come through. And like I said, we're hoping to hear about this in about 4 or 5 weeks. So fingers crossed on that one. Okay, I'm going to hand it off to John to talk about Kansas Avenue.
Thanks, Jared. I'm John Karst with HDR. I serve as our Missouri-Kansas Bridge Section Manager, and appreciate the commission having us here to talk about these options here tonight. So I'm going to spend some time talking about the Kansas Avenue Bridge. So that's the bridge that's just a little ways upstream of the Central Avenue Bridge that Jared was just talking about. A little bit of history on this first, and then I'm going to go into some of the options that we looked at as far as what can we do to this bridge here. The options will range from removing the whole thing to some rehabilitation option to our options to replacement options. So history on this thing, it's kind of like Central Avenue. It's 100 years old plus, and it's it's been in service most of those years, but it's closed in 2022 for a variety of structural deterioration that's caused the load rating to fall on it. We've got poor bearings on it. There's steel members that have heavy corrosion on it that have led to the load rating being low enough that it's got to be closed. And so it's been closed since 2022. So traffic has not been able to get through. Obviously, a couple of important aspects about this is it is designated as a critical urban freight corridor. So That freight is currently finding its, finding its own detour around since 2022. And as this group knows, it serves a lot of interest on both sides of the river here. There are active developments ongoing here. The Rock Island Bridge in the background here. This photo is old enough; it doesn't show the new developments on it, but that area is open now. And then there's also additional trails and that kind of thing planned on the west end to tie into that. So this is the existing bridge. We're standing on the Kansas side. We look to the east, it ties into additional bridge, and the state line is basically right there at the top of the levee. So when we're talking about the Kansas River, the Kansas Avenue Bridge over the river, it's the UG structure over the river, and then it ties in pretty quick to KCMO owned structure. So there's a bit of a balance here between KCMO and UG on our approach. So going through some of the options that we looked at and what can we do with this bridge, the baseline is removal. So in any kind of study, we want to see like what's the bare minimum we could do here. In this case, it's to remove the bridge. Functionally, as far as traffic is concerned today, it's going to operate the same. Everybody's finding a way around today. If you remove the bridge, obviously there's no change to that function. What would change, we would take the bridge out. The bridge, the Avenida Cesar Chavez that's coming in from the KCMO side would need to be, permanently blocked off so the traffic can't, obviously drive off the end of the bridge. And then the intersection at the bottom where the bridge ties in at the railroad and a railroad street, which is represented kind of by that blue circle, that would need to be reconfigured a little bit. The blue circle there is just an icon to represent intersection. It doesn't represent roundabout or anything like that. In this scenario, as part of it, we could look at, a typical signalized interchange, a roundabout, or what have you, and figure out what would work the best for this going forward. But this removes the bridge. The critical urban freight corridor would need to be, reclassified somewhere else. And then on the plus side on this one, there is more area available for recreation, under where the bridge's footprint is now. And you can see that we've got an estimated cost of $8 million to complete this work. This slide summarizes rehabilitation options. So when we talk about rehabilitation, we're talking about reusing as much as we can, try to minimize the investment while getting this bridge back open. So going left to right is kind of, start with the least intrusive options. Going towards the right is the more in-depth options. So the far left side, $24 million we've estimated to repair the steel truss. So that would be repairing the structural items that are currently deficient. Pretty in-depth structural repair, complicated work, and basically patch the bridge deck, which is the driving surface that cars would drive on. So we've got that estimated at about $24 million. That would get the bridge reopened. You've still got 100-year-old plus steel structure that it's sitting on. The next option up from there would be the same kind of steel repairs to the truss, but instead of just patching the concrete deck, we would go ahead and replace the concrete deck and get a lot more service life out of the deck. And it also opens up the possibility to reconfigure how the lanes are used on that, as far as shared use path. If the UG has a desire to have say a 12-foot path on that, they could reconfigure it and maybe reduce the lanes to one vehicular lane in each direction and then a larger path or something to that effect. But that's a little bit more in-depth repair, more cost, but it gets a little bit longer service life. And then finally on the rehabilitation, at about $50 million, we're estimating to just get rid of the steel truss entirely. So take that completely off and then reuse the concrete piers that are in the river that hold it up. We would need to repair those and likely strengthen them to accept a new set of modern steel plate girders to sit on there. So we would get rid of the truss, which is what's causing all the problems today, and replace it with new steel girders that would carry all legal loads, and really open it up to a good service life, something that UG would not have to worry about for a couple of generations here, ideally. All of these would tie into the existing KCMO structure on the east. So the goal on all of these is to do minimal impact on the KCMO structure. Just basically tie into it. Their portion of it would go back into service as it was before this bridge was closed. So these are the rehabilitation options. And then these last few slides show concepts for replacements. Again, just a couple items. The blue circle on there is just an icon for an intersection. No work has been done to size whether it's a signalized or a roundabout or anything like that. And they are conceptual, so, there's still a lot of engineering work to do on these, but they've been vetted out for alignment and profile to know that they're viable. And so the first replacement option is basically replace the bridge on the exact same alignment it's on now. So basically tear out what's there now from the KCMO or from the state line west, tear out what's there now, replace it with a new modern structure that would restore the load rating, tie into the intersection where the blue circle is at Railroad Street in the same way. And so this would basically give you back the functionality that it had before the road was closed or before the bridge was closed. And the lowest cost replacement option. Okay, one item to note about this is that when there is a railroad, a blockage, so a train sitting on the tracks, if you are in the businesses that are between the tracks and the river, you can get out by going up and over the bridge, but you cannot cross the tracks. So if you want to go to the west, you've got to wait for that train to clear. The subsequent options provide some solutions to get around. So in this option here, you can see it's the same alignment, and we're calling this a three-legged interchange. So basically, where previously you would tie down at Railroad Street at the railroad tracks, and if there was a train there, you'd stop. In this option, that Kansas Avenue would be elevated to go up and over those railroad tracks to allow free flow east and west over the tracks. But in order to provide a way for the business or people in those businesses to get out if there is a train blockage, we added the third leg that goes down to the north. So it gives those folks a way to get out if there is a train sitting there. And you can tell from looking at this, there's a lot more elevated structure here. That's all bridge. That's a cost driver for the project. So you can see the cost jumps up substantially up to about $80 million estimated for this. This option adds a leg to the south. You can see the corresponding increase in cost, but that helps with the functionality to get folks, whether you're on the north side of Kansas Avenue or on the south side, if there is a train blocking the tracks or blocking the road, you've got a way to get out. So as far as emergency access, these 3- and 4-legged interchanges really open up safety and provide for that passage east and west, but comes with the trade-off of a much higher project cost. And then lastly here, this is an option. So Kansas Avenue currently is to the north. That'd be to the left on this picture. So we're looking at Shawnee Avenue here. What this does is provide a completely different connection, but it connects to the KCMO structure on the east side, basically for a more direct route over towards I-35 on the Missouri side. So in this option, we think the critical freight corridor would be relocated down to here. It does provide a more direct connection. But you can see here, in order to make it work, this bridge has to go up and over the existing elevated tracks there that end up going over the Kansas River. So this bridge structure is substantial. It's really tall. So we've accounted for those costs. It's kind of like the 3-legged interchange that we had earlier. This one has a 3-legged one as well to provide the business owners and folks using that a way to get out. But this does provide a different connection, obviously with a much increased cost at about $130 million. In coordination with KCMO, new analysis of the interchanges or intersections on each end of the bridge. So in summary, quick table for the range of costs that we're talking about in the projects here. We've got from removal at $8 million. We've got the rehabilitations that I went through ranging from 24 to 48 million. And then the replacement options that, kind of run the gamut on the service that they provide, but as well the cost. Turn it over to Troy.
And if that wasn't enough, we've had a couple new things since this presentation was done. One is, you obviously know now the Royal Stadium is going across the river. So what impact does that have on this and the KCMO's willingness or desire to get this bridge open? I don't know. We haven't had those conversations yet, but there may be some renewed interest in KCMO given that, as well as you saw a few of those slide options had bridges up and over railroads, railroad tracks. There's a grant opportunity out right now that we are going to apply for with the help from Benish and the team to help remove crossing conflicts between railroads and cars. It's through the federal government, I believe. So that money's out there. We're going to apply for the design side of it. So the study, figure out what we could actually do through there, which may drastically impact this too and give us opportunity to use some of that funding to help with this as well going forward. So a couple things that popped up that aren't on here yet, but things that you should know about that are still ongoing with this. So I guess where we're at now is we've got a bunch of information. We've got a whole study packet that we're going to send you and all the other commissioners too. We'll put that out tomorrow. We'll send that out to you with that whole packet. So what we really need to know is what direction or what thoughts do you want us to look at going forward for the remainder of the funds we have for this study? How much is left? Do you remember? About 850,000. And that was originally what, 2 million-ish, a little over. And that has to be spent by the end of the year, correct?
Thank you. Does any member of the committee have any questions or comments? Commissioner Ramirez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know it's been rocky conversations with KCMO in the past, and I think you briefly mentioned something, but I didn't catch it. Up until recently, have we had any restarted those conversations with KCMO about Kansas Avenue specifically?
I have not, as far as this study goes, from the time that we submitted the last grant with them. We haven't really even engaged in those conversations at my level. I know Benish works with KCMO a lot, so Chris might be able to fill you in a little bit more on that.
Yeah, Chris Harker with Benish. So the answer is yes, we have maintained communication because one of the other roles we play is we are essentially the bridge management engineers. HDR has also had some role with that. So we are up to speed and we have kept KCMO up to speed on what they would need to do on the Cesar Chavez portion of the bridge. But just to remind the commissioners, the direction that we were provided when we started the study is to investigate options that did not require KCMO to contribute anything on their portion. So that's what you saw in the presentation. But we do know that there is interest for them to improve some of the critical features on theirs. So,
Okay.
and that is both at their public works, so Troy's counterparts, as well as some of the council members on the KCMO side.
And I might just add, this is the Administrator House too. I know that the mayor's had some conversations at her level with Jackson County and with Kansas City, Missouri, over the last few months around this Kansas Avenue and the kind of a regional approach. So if we were touching our side, what would that look like for Kansas City, Missouri, or Jackson County, or a joint, federal application? So trying to put some of those pieces together. And also just note that the American Royal, in the Hale Arena and that complex is of course moving out to Western Wyandotte County. So there's a good bit of unknown around, what the future could look like, for the redevelopment of this area. We've got the Rock Island Bridge that just opened last month. So there's a lot of variables, both on the transportation side and the funding side, as well as on the redevelopment and economic development side in this area. One of the things that Representative Sharice Davids has been supportive of looking at Kansas Avenue and looking at the riverfront area, and has provided some funding as well for those efforts. And so again, another kind of piece of this puzzle around the bridge.
Thank you. And I'm glad, we're working with KCMO and keeping those conversations open, those lines of communication. You mentioned, I think it's also good to bring Jackson County into the fold maybe eventually, because I've had conversation with my counterpart on the Jackson County Legislature, and he seems very interested in helping to get Kansas Avenue Bridge opened. Because they said on their side that they rely heavily on that connector between our city and their city, and county to county. And so thank you for all the work you did on this study. For this, Central Avenue Bridge, we're getting there. You know, I would say we're inching towards there. Kansas Avenue Bridge, I think we're just getting started. And it's gonna be some time before we find out what what option we'd go with and what's gonna be the best option moving forward for everybody within the region and then that corridor. So thank you for all the work you've done.
Sure, if I can just comment real quick, again, Chris Harper with Benish, just to follow up on what the administrator was saying, what Troy was referring to with the perhaps increased interest from the Kansas City, Missouri side is if you start to consider where the Royal Stadium is going to go, and then you start to look at the projects that would be underway, so in construction from 2030 to 2035, with the Royals opening in and around 2030, there's going to be a lot of the major infrastructure closed. There's work along I-70, there's work along I-29, there's work planned in Lewis and Clark. Hopefully Central Avenue would be under construction. All pointing to the fact that Kansas Avenue is going to probably play a major role, at least for the first couple of years, in getting people to and from the Royal Stadium, and maybe for a long term. I think there's definitely some opportunities to what the administrator was saying to come up with a growth strategy and for a sustained growth strategy. And then if we need to think about that, it plays into what Troy was talking about with why the grant was going after for the at-grade intersection, because if we project higher traffic on a reopened Kansas Avenue, we would definitely want to improve or address that at-grade. So a lot of things in motion, but to Troy and his team's credit, they are looking at all those different things.
Commissioner Burns.
First of all, I'm just glad that the Benish company is working with us. They're local. They do an excellent job. I have total confidence in them. Fortunately, when I was elected, both those bridges were closed, and they're both in my district. And, you know, I've had people, do you want Central done? You want the Kansas Avenue done? I know the Kansas Avenue is very important. And we're going to have Missouri to cooperate, in my opinion. And I'm just trying to figure out on option A of the 8 million by removing it. Tell me how that's a gain, or is it?
I don't know that it's necessarily a gain, but it's an option. I mean, the gain would
Okay.
be that there's a little bit of land that opens up there. Whatever.
So being realistic at this point in the game, it would seem to me that option B would probably be the most appropriate until we can get other people on board and maybe change it from there. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly an option. It's just kind of do we spend the money now knowing that we're going to replace it later? If we are, I don't know the answer to that. That's kind of what we're here to try to figure out. If you want, the fastest way to get the bridge open is to make the repairs. So if that's the goal, yes.
So if we went with option B, we could also increase the quality with other funding in future years, right? In other words, for what you're doing, can it be repaired to make it even better?
Maybe I'll rephrase the question. If you're asking, could there be continual investment in the bridge to
Yes.
extend its service life? Yes, the answer to that is yes. And then back to your original question, as far as why you would even consider the removal option. There is inherent risk and liability to the UG. If that bridge was to fall into the river, that would be the UG's responsibility. In addition to all the costs from an uncontrolled drop, which would be more than 8 million, you would also have the public damage and strategy. So that's why you might consider that. From an engineering standpoint, we are required to do that as a baseline. That is the bare minimum. We are not suggesting that you need to consider that. We know that the public has not expressed any interest in removing it and not putting something back. But then also you were saying option B, which had 3 sub options. as for the rehabs, that probably does provide you the best return on investment because we have not seen as much interest in enhancing what is going on at Kansas Avenue, other than addressing the intersection there off the west end that John talked about with the railroad. Other than that, people just want to have back what they had before. That was different at Central. Central, people wanted sidewalks and improved access and all that. So
Right.
I agree, I would agree that rehab is a very strong consideration for Kansas Avenue.
That's a good point. Thank you.
Commissioner Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your presentation. I have just a couple questions. I think I understand option B, and so what I'm not sure of is how much that would cost potentially, and if we chose that, when would it open?
Yeah.
Let me start at the end and work my way back, and then I'll pass it to John, provide some details. So when might it open? That really depends on how quickly the UG would authorize the combined team to get into the design. That is, I'm sure Troy will bring this back up, but with the remaining funds that from the original study, one of the things that you could be doing is authorizing us to get into the preliminary design of one of these ideas. We are basically in a holding pattern till Troy gives us direction and you give Troy direction. If we got started on that, then the controlling element would be the construction funds. We could have the design done probably in a year and a half or 2 years. Particularly because we're staying on the footprint. We have less conflicts. We would need to do a little bit of environmental review, but I would say a good thought process is 2 years. Now, the question is, could the UG come up with the construction funds? So the numbers that you're seeing there in time to start a construction in 2 years. I'll let Troy comment because I do know that there are some funds that have been considered that would get this process started.
Well, there's ideas. One of those ideas, and talked to Commissioner Kump on the American Royal Funds this was months ago before this even came up. We knew that those were going to be. I was like, well, you can dedicate those any one-time chunks of money that we have, take them and set them in a pot and hold on to them. Those come up every once in a while, $1 million here, $1 million there. We add it to that pot and use that to help fund that. Whenever we have that funds available, or we get to a point where we can say, okay, well, we're at $20 million, let's debt $5 million, and that gets it done. I don't know. There's plenty of other options out there to consider, but it needs to be an intentional effort to say these, whatever funds we're doing, we're putting them here when something pops up. So.
And then I guess one more further comment. We would be able to get the design completed and presumably get it under construction quicker if we were doing one of option B as compared to one of those full replacement options. I mean, there's just a lot more to do. There's right-of-way easements. There's some things we would need to be doing in the river, things like that. So.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lopez.
Yeah, Lopez, District 6. It's kind of a outside the box question, I guess, but if we was able to give that bridge to a demolition company, this is for Troy, if we was able to give that bridge to a demolition company to demo it and say, hey, your pay is whatever the material brings at the recycle. You know, the metal, the concrete, because you're gonna break it into gravel and sell it, all that. Just like a logger, you know, a logger comes in and he's got to pay you to harvest your trees, but then he don't pay you much, but then he makes it, you know, off the back end when he sells it to the mill, kind of a same aspect. But anyway, and this might be a later conversation too about putting a toll on there.
We've actually worked with a company to talk about tolling that. There's a company, multiple probably, but there's a company we talked to. It works nationally with basically they will take over and own the bridge They'll take it down, rebuild it, put a new bridge up, and then they'll toll vehicles and they'll own it for like 100 years or something like that. I don't know the exact details of it. They looked into it and it's not profitable for them. There's not enough traffic to toll it at amount. I mean, it was like $20 a trip or something like that. A number that people wouldn't use it, basically.
Why don't we toll it?
It's like $20 a trip if we want to do it to recoup the cost. So I think that's the issue. There's not enough, today, there's not enough traffic on it to,
Well, just like you mentioned in the presentation, is, you know, it's gonna be a lot of traffic once it's opened.
there may be, I don't know, there may be with Royals there, it's possible. We just don't know yet. Don't know how it is.
Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there, huh?
Yeah. Well, but to your point, I mean, if you, the option of tolling it is, you could do it. Just don't plan to recoup the costs.
Well, I know, but I mean.
But it would help pay for, I mean, tolling would probably help pay for the long-term maintenance as you look through it. you
Right.
know, go-
Well, I'm just, you know, at the end of the day, it's not a poke in the eye. You know what I mean? I know we're not gonna recoup all the money, but I'm just saying it's, at the same time, it's not a poke in the eye either. But, okay, thank you.
Thank you. I have a couple questions. If we went with the replacement option, any one of them, what would the estimated lifespan of the replaced bridge be?
Current service life what we would design to is 75 years. So,
Thank you.
and it would likely outlive that, just like these have been up for 100 years, but designed for 75 years.
I guess my thoughts on between option B and then a total replacement is the option B, the two cheapest at least, each one of those, you get likely 10 to 15 or 10 to 20 years of additional life. That's over $1 million, depending on whether option, it's over $1 million per additional year of serviceable life. Whereas a full replacement at $52 million, assuming we get 75 years, that is, in my mind, substantially cheaper long-term and just a better bang for the buck. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. I don't have any other questions at this time. Is there any other member of the committee who has any questions? We lost Commissioner Ramirez. Any further questions, Commissioner? Thank you. Clerk, did we receive any comments from the public on this item?
No comments received.
Is there anyone online from the public who wishes to make a comment on this item?
No hands are raised.
Thank you. Is there anyone appearing in person who wishes to comment on this item? If so, please approach the podium. Let the record show that nobody's approached the podium.
Commissioner, I got a suggestion real quick.
Sure, sure.
Based on the comments I'm hearing, I'm just trying to direct the team to move forward in what direction before we completely close it out. What do you think about the direction of start working towards designing the repairs that it would take, and we'll work down that path while at the same time engage Casey Mo and see where they're at from a standpoint of getting a replacement done, because it's a big benefit for us if that replacement is done at the same time, whether it's on alignment or things change a little bit when it's getting done. That helps us as well. So what do you think about that suggestion?
Committee, I mean, I think that's fine. Do we need to have a vote on that? Or there's this?
You don't need to vote. We're just here.
Sure, I think, yeah, this is information only, so I think any committee members have any comments? I think we're kind of in agreement. That sounds fine. Oh, Commissioner Burns, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think we owe a big thank you. In particular, there are many, many people that work very hard to make the Central Avenue Bridge a reality. Many, many people. But in particular, my state representative, Pam Curtis, worked very hard, especially for funding purposes. And so I don't call her Pam Curtis anymore. I call her Pam Bridges. And she kind of likes that, but she did a wonderful job in Topeka in securing a lot of the money and fought a lot of people to get it done. And I think she owes a great we owe her a great debt of gratitude.
Thank you, Commissioner Burns, and I have to echo your sentiments. Representative Curtis has been working extremely hard on this bridge. for years. So I'm very excited for her that it's become a reality. And thank you. That was for information only beyond the kind of consensus we gave. There are no other items, so that concludes our meeting this evening. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Clerk of a motion and a second, roll call, please.
Roll call. Bradley Lopez,
Aye.
Hill,
Aye.
Ramirez,
Aye.
Burns,
Aye.
Lopez,
Aye.
Hump.
Aye.
Vote is 6-0. Motion carries.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Administration and Human Services will start once we switch staff and Commissioner Howard gets down here. Call the meeting to order. I want to announce that some community members, staff, and the public are attending remotely via Zoom as well on site. All participants joining by phone should mute their phones when not speaking to avoid background noise. During the meeting, please make sure that you announce yourself by name and title every time you speak, so the public that is observing knows who is speaking. When speaking, be sure and speak directly into a microphone so that all comments are heard and the record of the meeting is accurate. This is critical given the number of remote participants and is current guidance from the Kansas Attorney General. The public may submit comments by email prior to noon on the day of the meeting, and those comments will be included in the record of this meeting. The public will have an opportunity to provide brief comments in person or virtually from the fifth floor conference room of the municipal office building during the meeting. When speaking, please state your name and city of residence for the record. Comments should be limited to the topic of that item. Disruptive comments and behavior are not permitted and may result in removal from the meeting. I will now call the meeting of the Administration and Human Services Standing Committee for Monday, May 18th, 2026 to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Roll call. Lopez,
Here.
Hill,
Here.
Howard,
Here.
Hump,
Here.
Ramirez.
Here. Clerk, are there any revisions to the agenda this evening?
Yes, Commissioner, there was an agenda update issued. We added a new item 4.1.
Thank you. We have minutes from our April 13th, 2026 meeting. Is there a motion for approval?
Move to approve.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Roll call.
Roll call. Lopez,
Aye.
Hill,
Aye.
Howard,
Aye.
Hump,
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Vote is 5-0, motion carries.
Thank you. Committee agenda. We have several items on our agenda this evening. Item number 4.1, the first item on our agenda is a resolution adopted to support the application of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas for a grant through the Love Your Block program. To give some background, this was the item that was blue sheeted. This item was brought forward by Commissioner Bynum over the weekend through the Livable Neighborhoods Department and our planning, and they were asked to place this on our agenda tonight because they have a June 1st deadline to apply for this grant. And so whoever makes the motion to approve, they will also need to add a fast track to this Thursday's commission meeting, just to give that information beforehand. I will recognize Mina Chappell, the Executive Director of Livable Neighborhoods, for presentation and remarks.
Good evening, Mina Chappelle, Livable Neighborhoods. It's okay. Looks like Dave. Yeah. I want to start by saying thank you for seeing me on such super short notice. I do apologize, but really appreciate the opportunity. So I am here for the Love Your Block grant. As Commissioner Ramirez said, it is due June 1st, and it is a grant available through Bloomberg Center for Public Innovation at Johns Hopkins University. And so what this grant will do, it's a 2-year grant for $70,000 to support resident-led community impact projects. So it's similar to the programming that is already existing in my office. In addition to that $70,000, it'll also offer support in the form of Love Your Block fellows. So you can get up to 2 fellows to support a project to help with resident-led initiatives. And in addition to that, other hands-on programmatic support and training. But again, this grant is centered around resident engagement, volunteerism, and then elements to support those projects. The eligibility requirements, it's open to any US city with a population of at least 50,000 residents. It also has requirements centered around the mayor. Thankfully, we meet those. So the mayor's tenure has to go through October 2028, and also requires a mayoral pledge committing to partner with the community for neighborhood improvement. And then it also requires 2 public servants to be dedicated to overseeing the life of the grant. I did email just to get clarification on mayoral pledge to see if like a resolution is fine for that, but I'll be back with more information. The grant alignment, there is no match required for this. I did attend an informational session last week. They said they want to be as low barrier to entry as possible. And then also the city also has livable neighborhoods, so pre-existing programming dedicated to already support resident and neighborhood empowerment initiatives. And I'll be doing some cross-department coordination to make sure that we hit that 2 needed public servants to qualify for the grant. And then also we already have an elected body that understands the value of strong neighborhood leadership, so perfect fit. So my ask is permission to apply for the grant. Again, 2 years, so to go from 26 to 28, deadline on June 1st, and that mayoral pledge. Hopefully the resolution is enough, but again, I'm getting clarification on what exactly constitutes a pledge. And that is all I have. If you have questions.
Thank you, Mina. Are there any comments or questions from the committee? Commissioner Lopez.
Yeah, Lopez District 6. So the 70,000, is that just for here, or is that for all the cities combined, or?
Like we would receive directly $70,000.
Okay, that's what my quick question. Okay, because one of your slides was showing cities up to, however many population.
Mina Chappelle, Livable Neighborhoods. Yeah, so any city that has 50,000 residents qualifies for it.
70,000. Okay.
Yes, we'll be awarded 70,000.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So is it 70,000, a one 70,000 amount, or 70,000 per year?
Mina Chappelle, Livable Neighborhoods. It's 70,000 for the 2 years in total.
Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Howard.
Howard, District 1. Do you already have a plan in place or a strategy, if you will, about if we are able to get those funds, about how we will disperse those funds?
Mina Chappelle, Livable Neighborhoods. So we do already have existing programming for neighborhood impact projects. My office receives just under 40,000 to disseminate to neighborhood groups to do projects. So we do already have some existing infrastructure that I want to kind of revamp and strengthen this year, and additional funding would definitely help with that.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll ask the clerk if any comments were received from the public.
No comments received.
Thank you. I'll now ask the clerk if anyone online from the public wishes to make a comment. Comment should be limited to the item at hand.
No hands are raised.
Thank you. Is there anyone appearing in person who would like to address this item? Let the record show no one stepped forward. Committee, I will now entertain a motion, and as a reminder, whoever makes the motion to approve, it should have a fast track attached to it for the May 21st commission meeting.
Chairman, I move to approve with a fast track for the May 21st commission meeting.
Howard, second.
Second by
No, the jump ball go up. Howard.
Commissioner Howard. All right. We have a motion and second. Roll call.
Roll call. Lopez.
Aye.
Hill. Howard.
Aye.
Hump.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Vote is 5-0. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mina. All right, item number 4.2. The next item on our agenda is an update on the Legislative Auditor's Office, operation programs, accomplishments, challenges, and upcoming priorities. I will recognize Reed Partridge, the Legislative Auditor, for presentation and remarks.
Good evening. My name is Reed Partridge, Legislative Auditor's Office, and was invited here tonight by the committee to go over our program, kind of bring awareness to the program. Let's see, the slide. So the Auditor's Office was, the Legislative Auditor's Office was established by the charter in 1997, and we were formerly the Wyandotte County Auditor's Office. The legislative auditor that office was part of the original conceptualization of the unified government. It's part of the charter and part of the consolidation study recommendations way back then. The county auditor's office, the old Wyandotte County Auditor's Office, was more of essentially it was the finance department for the county back in the before unification. Those duties, of course, were transferred to City Hall and the other departments. One thing that didn't change, you can see in the second bullet point, where my position is appointed by the district court judges, which was the same as the county auditor. And the significance of that is the independent nature of the program. So even though our jurisdiction and we report on the unified government, my boss is Chief Judge Burns. And so that gives us a level of independence that is pretty rare for performance audit functions. However, that independence I call it a sliding scale. The higher the independence, the lower the authority. So we can only make recommendations for change. We can't direct or create policy, and we just make recommendations to departments and the county administrator for change. That forces us, in a good way, that forces us to make sure that our arguments are compelling and based on evidence, based on strong evidence. The function of our program is also described in the charter, and it's really, there's a broad definition, and it's just called citizen oversight. That's what, as they wrote the consolidation study recommendations, that was the phrase that was used. From that, we have two programs that we have implemented to carry out that function. The first is the internal performance audit, and the second, of course, is our ethics program. I would say that both of these programs, if you look across the state of Kansas, I think these two programs, the design and the execution is more, we are really progressive in this area. No other, very few, I should say, cities, counties have a ethics program designed and implemented the way we do. As the internal performance audit program, there's probably 3 or 4 programs on par with ours as far as the design, fully staffed. There are some jurisdictions that have maybe one internal auditor that reports to the county administrator. Johnson County is a good example of a program that has a fully funded staff. The state of Kansas itself has a fully funded internal performance audit program. There's one that's escaping me. Kansas City, Missouri obviously does, which is what ours is built on. University of Kansas has an internal performance program, but there are very few programs staffed and that perform the same kind of function that we do. Most other, if a jurisdiction does have a performance audit program, it's usually just one person. We have some other functions that we do outside of that. One's just transactional audit, which just simply means we're looking at transactional level detail. We also participate as a non-voting member of many of the RFP committees by our procurement department. And a new initiative that we just rolled out last week with the help of Crystal and our department was the fraud, waste, and abuse reporting hotline. And this is really just taken off just this week. So that kind of dovetails with we've always had an ethics hotline. This is a new, kind of a rebranding and expansion of that ethics hotline. We now have the fraud, waste, and abuse program. We have it's a web-based portal as well as a telephone hotline. So I'm gonna go back, take a step back to the internal performance audit. That's the reports that you get from time to time. There's 2 things that I wanted to bring up about that. We follow standards. We have, this is one of the things that separates us from the other jurisdictions who maybe have one internal auditor. We follow these standards. They're established by the Government Accountability Office, commonly referred to as the Yellow Book. There are sections in there that are applicable to internal auditors like ourselves, local governments. And the idea is that we follow these standards, and that gives us the credibility that we need, that you can rely on. So we issue a report, you know it's independent, and it's been planned, and it's been supervised. That's the part that's a little, that you won't see every audit function have. The other piece is the peer review, which means simply that we have other auditors come in and look at our work and make sure we are following those standards. And for nearly the last 20 years, we have gone through that process. And we have another one, we've always passed, by the way, and we have another one due next year. So every 3 years, our processes are tested by a professional organization that we're aligned with. and passed our last review in December of 23. A little more about our audit function. Audit topics, we select the audit topics. We do get recommendations from county administration or other department heads. Our topics, otherwise our topics are based on risk. Areas that handle cash, for example, areas that have new management, high turnover, new systems, those types of things, areas where oversight might not be as high as others. Those are the things that we are looking at when we select an audit topic. The focus of our audit is always going to start with fraud, waste, and abuse. That's our, we always have to consider that. That's our base. Primarily, the next sentence there, you see compliance, economy, efficiency, and equity. Compliance would be the next most common or the priority, but compliance with laws, statutes, contracts, policies, that type of thing. And then economy and efficiency and equity. If we identify areas where things should change, then that's where that comes in. So it's kind of a stair step. Fraud is, you're always looking for fraud first, and then compliance with laws, statutes, policies, and then economy, efficiency, and equity. The other part of our program, and as I mentioned, this is no other program in Kansas really comes close to this, possibly Wichita, but theirs doesn't have some of the independent nature that ours does. But we have an ethics program. It really consists of 3 pieces: the code itself. The code itself focuses on conflicts of interest. And that was, the reason being is during unification back in the 90s, conflicts of interest was something of a priority at that time. Nepotism, cronyism, those types of things. That's what the code is really strong in that area. The code does not cover personal conduct. However, I would always say that employees, if there's any issue with personal conduct, then those types of things are best handled by HR, their manager. So I get asked frequently about, personal conduct, behavior, and why isn't that covered? And I think the main reason is employee conduct should be handled by their supervisor or HR. The code is kind of punitive in nature. It tells you what you can't do or what you shouldn't do. It's not aspirational. I think that's pretty common for most ethics codes or most policies. It establishes a ethical minimum, which is what you would find, I think, in any HR policy, contract, that type of thing. The commissioners there's 5 members. They're appointed for a 4-year term. They are appointed by the chief judge, the district attorney, and myself. Again, the importance there is that the chief judge is a state employee. The district attorney and myself are quasi-state employees. And that gives them independence from the mayor, the commissioners, or the county administrator, or any other department head. The commission meets, they're required to meet twice a year. They meet monthly for the most part. And I would like to say also about this commission, and that this is a real commission. This is a board. I know we have a lot of boards and commissions, and sometimes attendance isn't very good, and sometimes things don't get accomplished. There's not a lot of movement. This commission is a genuine, sincere commission that meets regularly. Attendance is good, and they make progress and address issues. So I think, I really think they stand apart in my mind based on a lot of commissions that I've seen where attendance is not so great, not taken seriously, that type of thing. So that's something we can be proud of. And of course, the ethics administrator, essentially she does the field work, does the investigations, and just manages the program administratively. All right, we're getting down to the end. Just to go over some numbers, this is kind of what our budget looks like. In 2023 was the last year we were fully staffed. We've had a number of vacancies, both in the regular staff and the ethics administrator. Fortunately, we lost Ruth Benin, our previous ethics administrator, and but we replaced Ruth in July of 25 with Misty Brown. And so you can see there's a lot of vacancies, and then in 23 and 24, or excuse me, 24 and 25. Staff, we have 6 FTEs. One position is frozen, so, and the part-time, the ethics administrator is considered a part-time contract employee. In fact, the entire program for ethics is considered part-time. It was never designed to be a bureaucracy, another bureaucracy. The ethics program doesn't have an office. They don't have equipment. Everything is done on her own with the commissioners. So in fact, there was an office like at the very beginning in the mezzanine of the courthouse, but even that proved to be more than what they needed. And it kept shrinking down to where now she runs it, the ethics administrator, the ethics program essentially runs itself, and any supplies or anything they need, they get from me. And that is all I have for this evening. I welcome any questions you have about the auditor's office.
Thank you, Mr. Partridge, for the presentation. Does any member of the committee have any questions or comments? Going once, going twice. Seeing none. I'll ask the clerk if any comments were received from the public.
No comments received.
Thank you. I'll now ask the clerk if anyone online from the public wishes to make a comment. Comments should be limited to the item at hand.
No hands are raised.
Thank you. Is there anyone appearing in person who would like to address this item? Let the record show that no one stepped forward. This item was for information only. Thank you, Mr. Partridge, for all the work you do.
Thank you.
Item number 4.3. Our next item on our agenda is a presentation spotlighting the transformation of the 311 system, how it serves as the community's front door for accessing non-emergency services, and the critical role it plays in resident experience. This was an item that I asked to bring forward when I became chair. One of the things I said, I wanted this committee to be more proactive than reactive. And one of those items that we added to our local priorities plan was our 311 system. Looking at it, how it currently works, what are some updates, and what can we do moving forward to improve it so that our residents have the top-notch customer service that they deserve. So I will recognize Crystal Sprague, the Director of Performance and Innovation, for presentation and remarks.
Thank you, Chair. Again, my name is Crystal Sprague. I'm the Director of Performance and Innovation here at the Unified Government. I want to thank you all for adding this item to tonight's agenda. Although 311 tends to be a common discussion point for the Commission, this is the first time in quite some bit that we've been invited to speak directly to our services, our realities, how we operate, and the barriers that keep us from meeting our core goal, which, as Chair said, providing residents with a simple, centralized way to access non-emergency information and report issues. My hope is by the end of this presentation today, we walk away with a clearer understanding of what 311 is, how it works today, and the challenges that we face, and the opportunities ahead of us to modernize and improve our citizen and resident experience. All right, so 311 sits within the Performance and Innovation Department, which reports directly to the CIO. Our entire department, project managers, technicians, and 311 call center staff all work in the same office, which is roughly about 900 square feet. We enjoy each other's company and learn from each other. The Performance and Innovation is still a relatively new department. And like 311, it's lived through some changes in leadership, some turnover, and shifts in organizational understanding of its purpose. The good news is, though, that for the last 2 years, the department has stabilized, matured, and clarified its role in the organization. Other divisions within the P&I department include project management and the Workday Enterprise System Management. One of the items we wanted to make sure that we brought to you today was an understanding of what project management and this department does. The project management work goes beyond traditional project management, as you might think, not to say anything to dissuade the project management of the engineers that were here earlier. It's just a little different what we do in our department. We don't just deploy software, we guide projects from the idea through development, implementation, and then oftentimes through long-term maintenance of whatever the project is. The projects range from small but meaningful process changes, as Reed mentioned, helping with the development of a form for citizen reporting, all the way to large enterprise cloud solutions. We manage government governance around our fiber and camera infrastructure, working across departments to maintain the fiber backbone that supports our public safety, public works, and parks departments, and bring modern amenities that attract new businesses. If you'd like to explore more about P&I and our projects, there's a QR code on your screen. You can also go to our website, be it as a citizen or a commissioner, and look at our projects that we completed in 2025, as well as our 2026 work plan. In the essence of time this evening, I'm going to go ahead and skip the Workday ERP management and let the commissioners read that on the website if you'd wish, and go right into the main topic of information, which is why we're here today to talk about 311. For many years, 311 was a call center. It was a switchboard. It was all different types of iterations of customer service and support. Throughout the years, we as 311 have been the front door to our residents. And so being able to innovate and change how we look at the culture of 311 has been very important. I described all of the information about project management because we've made significant enterprise level investments across the unified government. However, 311, our front door, has not received modernization or prioritization in many years. As I mentioned, our project managers sit feet away from our 311 staff. We hear firsthand as we are deploying innovative technologies for other departments, the struggle that our 311 operators go through every day. This presentation is a moment of hope for them. They often hear all the negative parts about being in the 311 call center. So your interest and your support tonight has been very uplifting for them, and I want to recognize that. So tonight we'll cover how 311 works, what the data shows, performance indicators, as well as what we'd like to see in the future. So how did we get here from that 311 call center? As I mentioned, over the years, the call center has evolved from a switchboard. Some of you might remember the Action Center that was at Indian Springs Mall. But eventually it came to be the 311 call center. Between 21 and 23, the years of 21 and 23, the division experienced instability in leadership and multiple shifts in reporting structure. But when 311 returned back to performance and innovation with a new manager and a new director, we took the opportunity to analyze, diagnose, and look at our current state. We knew that the technology that we were using is way out of date and unsupported and patched together with a series of rubber bands that often broke and required constant maintenance. But we knew throwing money and technology at the undefined problem would not yield the results we were looking for. So we launched a 12-month evaluation process internally. We were looking at how the 311 system worked and what data was available to us. And it was pretty clear that 311 had high external and internal expectations, that improvement was going to be difficult without clarity around service level agreements. And the platform upgrade was needed, but again, throwing a technology would not fix the gaps that we were uncovering. But I bet you wonder how 311 works, right? We all think we call 311 and we get a 311 operator, and that's not necessarily the case. When someone calls 311, their experience starts with an IVR, or the interactive voice response system. The IVR is something that is utilized across the unified government that routes callers to the path that they choose. They pick one, they go to a certain location. They pick two, they go to another location. The IVR directs callers to departments like municipal court, like the Treasury, and other departments around the UG. So on average, if you dial 311, only 18.5% of the time do you reach a 311 operator. So that means that 1 out of 5 calls that come in get to the 311 operations center. We also answer the phones after hours. So it's been a belief circulating recently that 311 is not a 24/7 operation. That is not true. We are. Residents can reach 311 throughout business hours as well as on holidays and weekends by dialing the same telephone number they would dial Monday through Friday. This accounts for about 11% of all the interactions that we get after hours and holidays. If someone dials 311 outside of operating hours, they reach our contracted after-hours support team. Emergency calls for streets or life and safety issues get routed to those departments immediately, and all the rest of the calls are reviewed by the 311 management staff on the next business day. The overwhelming majority of interactions that we have, however, are through the phone line. About over 85% of what we do, we are contacted via the phone. But we also have passive ways that citizens can interact with us through our mobile app, the My WYCO app. Citizens can make reports there as well. It is a small but important portion of requests. They come in passively, as I mentioned, through digital channels, including that 311 app and the info@wycokck.org email address. It makes up about 2%, little over 2% of the total contacts that are submitted. It's a small share, but it's an important and significant growth potential within our services that we provide to our residents. So as far as call volume goes, as you can see in 2020, I believe that's 2024, we had our largest year to date, and these are just calls answered by the 311 call center staff. We fielded over 70,000 interactions. In 2025, waste management calls were offset or sent back to the waste management department or vendor, and that became freed up a little space for us, which we're going to talk about how we filled. But in 2026, we're on track to get about 62,000 phone calls so far. Public Works still maintains the top spot of the types of phone calls that we get, but you'll see Neighborhood Resource Center and District Court take up the second and third place spot. Other information about our program includes our budget, 2026 budget, to no surprise of this board, 80% is salary and benefits. We are funded both by city and county based on telephone call volume. So if we get more county calls, then we make those adjustments throughout the budgeting cycle. I will call out a couple of items on this slide. The first item is a $24,000 expenditure for our after hours and weekend support services. The second line is our AT&T bill. We do pay to have that dedicated 311 line. And then the last item on the board there is the Nice and Contact, and that's our IVR. It is supported by the Department of Technology. We are just a part of that supplier provided service, and it is funded out of that Department of Technology. What you'll notice on that board is not a cost for a solution that handles our CRM. You will notice that we use Microsoft Dynamics at $0 cost to us, and we get what we pay for. We did submit in 2025 a budget request to replace our CRM, but that was unfortunately not funded. And we have requested budget in 2026 to replace the CRM, and we await the conclusion of the budget cycle while we explore other types of funding opportunities. As we were doing our evaluation, we didn't sit still. We made sure that we were not only looking at what the current state was, but what could we do? We were doing what we could do to make improvements, and I'm going to list a few of those off today. We rebuilt our relationship with the BPU colleagues, our BPU colleagues, discussing and meeting regularly about shared resources that we can use, including contracts, shared solutions, and common problems that we were each having. We joined the clerk's office in, again, assisting seniors with scheduling their rebates and taking a little load off of the clerk's office. With the reduction in the waste management call volume to our center, we took that opportunity to request if we could assist and help in any other areas. The clerk took us up on that, and based on data, we made a decision to reroute all the telephone calls that were going to the clerk's office, primarily for other reasons, not clerk issues. We rerouted those to the 311 call center and then offset about 1,000 phone calls per year, freeing up the clerk staff to do clerk things. We implemented performance measures with our call reps. We worked with our MyWICO app provider to improve the request submissions through an upgrade. We engaged a community group and met with the previous mayor's task force on 311 to get feedback about what they were looking for. One of the items I'd like to highlight is that we became the beta test site for an agentic AI solution from our partners at Granicus, which manage our website or provide our website platform. We did this for the Treasury first. You saw the high volume of Treasury calls that they receive. They receive almost as much to Treasury as we take in 311. So we went where the most need was presented and decided to launch that beta test site for agentic AI on the website for the Treasury office, and they are now live on their web pages. This allows customers to self-service. They don't have to call us. They can self-service and get answers and directions to those often complex requirements when they're trying to comply with property tax payments and titling and renewing motor vehicle tags. The Gov agent, and that's what the agent on our Treasury site is called, assists residents in accessing information that is on our website in the way they want to, when they want to, and how they want to, asking the questions in their language. So I mentioned language, it is multilingual, so it allows us to give that much more service back to the constituents. We've seen early results that appear to be making a dent in the Treasury backlog of calls. We've also received several positive comments from residents about their interaction. They believe it's on the website, but we know that that change occurred because we implemented the Gov agent. And this is only the first step in launching this agent across the Unified Government website as a whole. I'd like to highlight a little of the performance, consistency, and professionalism of the 311 call center team. They get 18.5% of the phone calls, but when a resident calls 311, they believe they are speaking to a 311 call representative 5 out of 5 times. So anything that happens outside of our department that is handled by not a 311 call taker is a 311 call taker. So I'd like to highlight their consistency and professionalism in service for just a second. Our call takers answer on average 184 calls per day. They maintain a 99.6 daily quality score on average, and they keep wait times under 2 minutes for the calls that we receive, which includes, we believe, the IVR conversation to get to us. They demonstrate strong performance despite the aging tools that they have to work with and growing service demands. All right, so what does all this mean? We know we have citizen expectations. We know we have limitations. This commission and residents have been clear. You've been clear in the agenda that you've set. The residents have been clear to us. We need a modern, integrated, resident-friendly service platform so that residents can get what they need the way they want to get it, when they want to get it, and not wait between 8 and 5 to call us. We need multilingual support, better communication feedback loops, and self-service options so that residents can see where their work ticket is or their call complaint request is without having to call back. They need access to answers before they have to pick up the phone. We need tools that allow us to educate and inform the public fluidly when things change as a supportive system to strategic communications. And we need to continue to leverage tools like AI to improve citizens' experience when they want to engage with those types of tools. It's basically the need for a layer cake approach, building each layer that supports the one below and above and complements both. Our primary barrier, because the UG's current Microsoft Dynamics instance is not licensed, it's not supported, and the technology is outdated, the organization will be unable to meet required improvements or integrations reasonably. It was recently suggested that we try to repurpose one of our existing work ticketing systems as a replacement for 311. I've seen this approach, and I want to take this opportunity to mention today, I've seen this approach attempted, usually with the goal to save money. Use what you have, try to repurpose it. But the outcomes almost always are the opposite, and it costs more money in the end. The system is built for internal workflows, not resident-facing configuration, and reconfiguring it could be quite costly and put us in a cycle of break fix over and over again. More importantly, it still wouldn't meet the expectations of the residents because it doesn't meet our requirements. If you prioritize the output, you must prioritize the input. We're working with our current website provider to understand whether they can meet the needs and requirements that we have of a new CRM, as well as numerous other expectations and at what cost. We need to know at what cost. At the same time, we want to avoid hobbling things together, existing tools, creating more rubber bands where we've complained about rubber bands in the past. Residents deserve more than a duct tape solution. So as I close, I want to mention that I want to express my sincere appreciation to this panel for allowing us to have the voice today that we've needed for quite some time, not just from myself, but the entire 311 staff. The team has a tireless job, as does any public servant. Monday through Friday, 8 hours a day, they answer the phone with a smile, and I hear them all day long, because again, we're in 900 square foot. I hear them all day long say, "Hi, how are you? How are you doing today? It's nice to talk to you. I haven't talked to you in a while. What can I do for you? I'm sorry this is happening to you. Let me try to see if I can help." The 311 team shows up with compassion every day, and I'm hoping that through this budget cycle and over the next few periods of time that we can give them the tools that they need to serve residents the way residents deserve to be treated. So with that, I'll open with for any questions.
Thank you, Director Sprague. Does any member of the committee have any questions or comments? Commissioner Howard.
Howard, District 1. I have a few questions. The first one is on the CRM cost savings. Can you talk to me about the thought process in that?
Commissioner, thank you for the question. Are you asking if we were to replace the CRM, how we would save?
So you talked about the cost savings of the CRM that you put in place, used Microsoft? The CRM that you have in place?
So let me rephrase. We've used a CRM for quite some time that has been of no charge. But because we do not pay for that system, it is outdated. It cannot be supported. It is basically on its last leg,
Got it.
if you will, and we cannot do any integrations or improvements to it.
Got it. Got it. Thank you for correcting that. And then the second thing would be the calls that come in. Do you have the capability to break them down in district-wise?
We do not in our current setup. It is one of the requirements, Commissioner, for any other CRM that we would entertain purchasing.
Okay. And the last one would be, how many call takers do you have?
We have 6 FTE, 5 call takers, full-time FTE call takers, and 1 program manager.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you, Commissioner Howard. Commissioner Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your report, and I'm glad our chair invited you to speak to us today. I just really have one question. How much to replace the CRM program?
Commissioner, thank you for asking that. We've got a couple of different options that we're looking at. One of those options would be if we were so lucky to, to find funding in the 2026 amended, we would be looking at about $150,000 to potentially replace the CRM and start to develop those integrations that are going to be so critical between other ticketing systems. I think there is an expectation, as well there should be, that if I'm a citizen calling in and I'm saying there's a pothole at 34th and State, that pothole ticket I can track through the process. And currently there is no, we don't have a strong ability to be able to do that with our outdated technology. It is legitimately, we log the ticket, Public Works picks it up, and then we don't know what happens after that. And neither does the citizen. So being able to have a platform with integrations with those work ticketing systems of record that the departments that do the work have would be pretty critical. The other option that we're looking at as an or is if we are so lucky in the 2027 budget, if 2026 amended budget comes and goes, and the 2027 budget allows us for a full implementation of the platform, we would be asking for and have asked for $250,000. That would support a more broad span of time for integration work. And we think that we could also leverage some cost savings, as Commissioner Howard mentioned, in maybe looking at that after hours call support by utilizing something that was more integrated with the way folks need to interact in after hours. But I do want to mention that regardless, it will not be a one-time charge. It will not be a one-time fee. I would always advocate for ongoing operation costs for maintenance and continuous improvement. Putting the shiny penny in place is great for the first couple of years, but if you do not maintain it, you do not support it, and you do not continuously improve it, it will in this environment become old and outdated much faster than what we think it will.
So are you saying like the first option was 150,000, was that for 2026?
Amended, yes, ma'am. So get us started early and then let us go into an operations mode in 27. But if we need to wait until 27, we would be looking at implementation costs and service for an entire year.
So in 2027, you mentioned 250,000. That's not if we did 150 this year.
That I
This
would not,
is
yeah, I would not.
everything for next year.
That's correct, next year.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And we continue to explore alternative options, including cost savings within the Department of Technology. And a shout out and thank you to my director, Mr. Bibbs, for trying to find dollars and save dollars that could be applied as well.
And I'll just add, Assistant Administrator House, on all these sort of technology projects, you've got basically a capital component and an operating component. And so when you see these projects come through, there's an initial sort of larger sum that's requested, and that is for the implementation of that software. And then I think most, if not all, of our new systems are cloud-based, and they have a subscription cost associated with them, as well as Director Sprague was saying with the operational side of that. So that's where you'll see it show up in sort of capital in that initial lump sum, and then you'll see it show up as a tail in the operating.
Thank you, ACA House. It's good idea, or good that was brought up about O&M, because that is a thing that we don't do so much very well across the UG and other departments as well. Is we have all these big projects that we need to do, as you said, the shiny penny of putting this new position or this new technology or this new project in force, but we never have the afterthought of thinking about the O&M, of how to maintain that shiny penny. So thank you for bringing that up. Commissioner Kump.
Thank you, Chair. So Commissioner Hill asked my initial question about the upfront cost. Do we have an idea of what the operating and subscription cost would be on?
I do not have a certain cost today, as we're still going through the requirements phase.
Sure.
We have about 170 lines of requirements that we're going through and prioritizing what needs to happen phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. That's not something I can provide today.
Sure. The idea if it'd be more or less than 150,000.
I would think it would be right at that 150.
Okay, thank you. I also have to say I was pretty surprised. I thought you were going to say a much larger number when you said this is what you need for the budget. This is a service, this is for a lot of our residents, their first encounter with our unified government. And I think I would encourage my committee members to really consider funding this in 2026, given that it touches every member of our community. And this is, quite frankly, this is a drop in the bucket in our overall budget. So I really appreciate your presentation. I think to your point, a modern digital government is what people expect and deserve, not only in the UG, but nationwide. So I'm excited to see us discussing moving towards this. And I just want to reiterate, that is, we can find $150,000 in the budget for this. So no other questions or comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Commissioner Lopez.
But I just wanted to, one quick follow-up on that. So just another piece of this with performance innovation, there's only a certain number of project managers. And so there's also, and they have a large sort of project load that they're managing. So again, as we think about sort of the technology portfolio, there's individual projects within that, and her team is the ones who are delivering those projects, across different departments. And again, there's only so many of them. So as the clerk knows, there's also a project to replace the appraiser's back-end system, and then the source of record for that system. There's workday improvements, and her team is leading those. So there's this project, and then there's a portfolio projects, and there's a limited number of people. I know Crystal would say if she had more project managers, she could sort of move faster and do more. But that is one of the limiting capacity issues that we face around implementation of technology.
Thank you, ACA House. Commissioner Lopez.
Yeah, I was just going to kind of piggyback off of Commissioner Howard's question earlier about when people call and residents call and how to, direct, let them know who what district they're in. It's real simple. Just on our geo maps, you can just type in their address and then scroll all the way down, and it'll break it down to the districts, to the unified government districts, and then also to the Kansas legislators districts and whatnot, but representatives, and feel free to give my information out if they're in my district and have concerns, because there's a lot of them reach out to me too. I can give you my cell number. You're more than happy to give my cell number out too. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Lopez. Commissioner Howard.
Howard, District 1. I wanted to follow back up with ACA House's comment with the capacity for the CRM and project management. And earlier you spoke about collaborating in partnerships, right? And so I'm glad to hear that that's the thought process for you. And so as I think about the capacity, I think about Kansas City, Kansas Community College, where they may have some programs in there where we could do some internships or something like that to provide those opportunities in our community. Or we may have a project management business or organization here right in our backyard that would love to partner with us on something like that. So we're just not being, the load is not put back on our staff, because of course they're handling so much, right? So how can we find ways to partner with those professionals in our community that can offer those services and would be more than willing to offer the services, provided, to Commissioner's point, that this is the initial contact, right? And so shout out to Ben down there in 311, because you all understand. So for you to come in here and just change the outlook and just how the systems are working within that, I would just challenge you to look at collaborating outside to fill those needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And Ben thanks you as well.
Thank you, Commissioner Howard. Clerk Monica Sparks. Commissioner Hill.
Just one more question. Just this was due to the comment by Mr. Howes. So as far as the technology budget, while we do the budgeting process, I think in the past, and then I'm not sure, but I think in the past, when I've seen the budget, when we see technology, it's kind of chopped up. We don't see the whole big picture. And you said something about capital improvement, so that's usually a big chunk of money. Maybe I missed something there. Go ahead.
Commissioner Hill, to your question, in a conversation with ACA House, when we set the schedule up for the committee for the year, one of the items that we're going to discuss next month is a presentation from him and Kevin Bibbs, who's our CIO, on our entire just IT infrastructure and what improvements need to be made and how can we improve our productivity through IT. So that is leading into that conversation is what we're going to have next month.
Mr. House, you don't have to answer that.
Thank you, Commissioner. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you and let everyone know that when you talk about collaboration, the clerk's office and 311 has had the best collaboration in a very, very long time. When we initially approached 311 about assisting us with the rebate program, there was no hesitation. Tell us what we need to do. Tell us how we can do it. They set all of our appointments for all of our offsite locations. They handle all the initial calls. And I know this year that increased greatly. And then when we looked at our processes internally, we looked at the amount of phone calls that we receive. We actually track them, and it was data-driven. We looked at our office receiving over 500 phone calls a month. Less than 40% of those were for the clerk's office. 60% were for other divisions. People were being transferred multiple times. In working and talking to Crystal, we came up with a solution that it makes more sense to have the calls go to 311 initially so that they're not transferred 2 and 3 times. I think it's improved customer satisfaction. We've seen a benefit to both of our departments in doing that. So when you talk about collaboration, please know that there are some out there working on it, and we're working on it very hard, and we appreciate everything that 311 has helped us with.
Thank you.
Thank you, Clerk. To reiterate, I agree with Commissioner Kump. I know there we have the staff ability to be able to take on more projects and do the projects and making sure that we have a great product. But I do agree. I was shocked as well as the cost. It's $150,000. That is something we can find in some way, shape, or form through our budget process. And I, for one, will advocate for that, for the Performance and Innovation Department for the 2026 amended is to provide that initial seed of $150,000. I'm going to speak to the mayor, speak to the administrator, so that we can get that going. Because this is an important system that needs to be updated. You guys are doing an amazing, amazing job with the current system you have, but let's get you modern tools to do the job even better. Because we know as commissioners, we know that there's a lot of angst in the community against 311 just because of the system. You know, there isn't that loop, that feedback loop. There isn't that ability for them to keep track of where their ticket went, or for departments to be able to communicate with each other on the ticket system, or communicate with the 311 department on that particular ticket. And so I'll do what I can to advocate to administration of finding the funding for this. And to going back to what I mentioned earlier for next month,
You know, our IT infrastructure in general is important, but I don't think we as a governing body make it important enough. Because if we can get systems, if we can get softwares in place, it can improve our efficiency and improve how we do our job to the community. And as one of the things that our community says, you know, they want to see what they're paying for. And part of that is not just, yes, part of it is roads, part of it is economic development projects, but also that making sure this building, every department is operating efficiently and in the best way that they can. And so that is why I wanted to bring Director Sprague and speaking with ACA House of just technology in general, of what can this committee, what can we do to work with the staff to get where we need to be. But I thought 311 was the most important one because that's the one we hear a lot of complaints from our constituents about. And I hope the community can hear and see that there have been improvements up to this point with what the system is able to allow you to do. But I will continue to advocate, fingers crossed, that we can get you the funding this year to start that process and so that our community gets what they deserve.
I thank you for that. I've done a poor job at saying Crystal Sprague, Performance and Innovation. I apologize. But thank you for that. And I will be so excited to take that back to the staff tomorrow. They will be excited to hear it. And I would be remiss if, and Omar will remind me when I walk out, that if I did not extend an invitation to this board and anybody else in a position, an elected position, to please come join us for a day in 311. Enjoy talking to constituents and having conversations with them in real time for the things that they're trying to comply with and report. We would love to have you come. We've got extra sets of headphones. Come hang out with us for a day or a part of a day and see what it looks like.
I think that sounds a lot of fun, and I'm sure a lot of the members on this committee would be excited, and the other commissioners as well, because it just gives us another avenue to speak to our constituents, speak to the community that we represent. Are there any other questions or comments from the committee? Commissioner Lopez.
Yeah, Lopez District 6. So, what are the most like, are they like combative, like right off the bat? Or are they just, or is it just kind of different, I guess? I mean, like, what's your most, when they answer the phones is, what, like their temperament from the start?
No, I listen to the telephone calls each day when they come in, and from my background, I like to think that a complaint is actually a request. And so if someone's very upset in the moment, they usually are just asking for something in a loud voice. So the majority of callers that we get are even tempered. They want to call in, they want to make a report. They're being a good citizen and a good steward of their neighborhood. And we take phone calls like that all day long. It's when citizens are trying to do the thing they want to do so badly, which is to comply, be informed, and get a task completed, and they run into those barriers because they can't get the information, they can't get it completed, that they get frustrated. And so our team is trained to do de-escalation and to ask open-ended questions to make sure that we can really diagnose what they're trying to get done, help them when we can, and try to get them to the right person when we can't help them internally. So I would say for the most part, Commissioner, they're just our neighbors.
Yeah.
We're just having conversations.
Right. That's cool. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you.
Seeing there are no other questions, I'll ask the clerk if any comments were received from the public.
No comments were received.
Thank you. I'll now ask the clerk if anyone online from the public wishes to make a comment. Comment should be limited to the item at hand.
No hands are raised.
Thank you. Is there anyone appearing in person who would like to address this item? Let the record show no one stepped forward. This item was for information only. Again, we'll have a bigger discussion on IT infrastructure and productivity next month with ACI House. I kind of refer to him to a lot of those things because he was, when I first got elected, he was our CIO, and now it is Kevin Bibbs. And so, but I thank you, Director Sprague, for you and your little mighty team for all that you guys do. It doesn't go unnoticed. We appreciate you.
It's a big, mighty team. Come on now.
Seeing that there are no further business before us, that concludes our meeting this evening. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Howard second, motion, sorry.
Or Lopez second.
You got it.
That time of night. There is a motion and a second. Roll call.
Roll call, Lopez,
Aye.
Hill,
Aye.
Howard,
Aye.
Hump,
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Vote is 5-0, motion carries.
Thank you. Our meeting is adjourned.